Letter 13. Letter 13. To Thomas Pennant, Esquire, Selborne, January 22, 1768. Sir, as in one of your former letters, you expressed the more satisfaction from my correspondence on account of my living in the most southerly county, so now I may return the compliment, and expect to have my curiosity gratified by your living much more to the north. For many years past, I have observed that towards Christmas vast flocks of chaffinches have appeared in the fields, many more, I used to think, than could be hatched in any one neighbourhood. But when I came to observe them more narrowly, I was amazed to find that they seemed to be almost all hens. I communicated my suspicions to some intelligent neighbours, who, after taking pains about the matter, declared that they also thought them all mostly females, at least 50 to 1. This extraordinary occurrence brought to my mind the remark of Linnaeus, that before winter all their hen chaffinches migrate through Holland into Italy. Now I want to know, from some curious person in the north, whether there are any large flocks of these finches with them in the winter, and of which sex they mostly consist. For, from such intelligence, one might be able to judge whether our female flocks migrate from the other end of the island, or whether they come over to us from the continent. We have in the winter vast flocks of the common linnets, more, I think, than can be bred in any one district. These, I observe, when the spring advances, assemble on some tree in the sunshine, and join all in a gentle sort of chirping, as if they were about to break up their winter quarters and betake themselves to their proper summer homes. It is well known, at least, that the swallows and the fieldfares do congregate with a gentle twittering before they make their respective departure. You may depend on it that the bunting, Eberiza miliaria, does not leave this country in the winter. In January 1767 I saw several dozen of them, in the midst of a severe frost, among the bushes on the downs near Andover. In our woodland-enclosed district it is a rare bird. Wagtails, both white and yellow, are with us all the winter. Quails crowd to our southern coast, and are often killed in numbers by people that go on purpose. Mr. Stillingfleet, in his tracts, says that if the wheatear, Oenanthe, does not quit England, it certainly shifts places, for about harvest they are not to be found, where there was before great plenty of them. This well accounts for the vast quantities that are caught about that time on the South Downs near Lewes, where they are esteemed a delicacy. There have been shepherds, I have been credibly informed, that have made many pounds in a season by catching them in traps. And though such multitudes are taken, I never saw, and I am well acquainted with those parts, above 2 or 3 at a time, for they are never gregarious. They may perhaps migrate in general, and for that purpose draw towards the coast of Sussex in autumn, but that they do not all withdraw, I am sure, because I see a few stragglers in many counties at all times of the year, especially about warrens and stone quarries. I have no acquaintance at present among the gentlemen of the navy, but have written to a friend who was a sea chaplain in the late war, desiring him to look into his minutes, with respect to birds that settled on their rigging during their voyage up or down the Channel. What Hasselquist says on that subject is remarkable. There were little short-winged birds frequently coming on board his ship all the way from our channel quite up to the Levant, especially before squally weather. What you suggest with regard to Spain is highly probable. The winters of Andalusia are so mild that, in all likelihood, the soft-billed birds that leave us at that season may find insects sufficient to support them there. Some young man possessed of fortune, health, and leisure should make an autumnal voyage into that kingdom, and should spend a year there, investigating the natural history of that vast country. Mr. Willoughby passed through that kingdom on such an errand. But he seems to have skirted along in a superficial manner and in ill humour, being much disgusted at the rude, dissolute manners of the people. Footnote. See Ray's Travels, page 466. End footnote. I have no friend left now at Sunbury to apply to about the swallows roosting on the eights of the Thames, nor can I hear any more about those birds which I suspected were merle torquatae. As to the small mice, I have farther to remark, that though they hang their nests for breeding up amidst the straws of the standing corn, above the ground, yet I find that, in the winter, they burrow deep in the earth, and make warm beds of grass. But their grand rendezvous seems to be in cornricks, into which they are carried at harvest. A neighbour housed an oat-rick lately, under the thatch of which were assembled near 100, most of which were taken, and some I saw. I measured them, and found that from nose to tail they were just 2 inches and a quarter, and their tails just 2 inches long. 2 of them in a scale weighed down just 1 copper halfpenny, which is about 1/3 of an ounce avoirdupois, so that I suppose they are the smallest quadrupeds in this island. A full-grown mus medius domesticus weighs, I find, 1 ounce, lumping weight, which is more than 6 times as much as the mouse above, and measures from nose to rump 4 inches and a quarter, and the same in its tail. We have had a very severe frost and deep snow this month. My thermometer was one day 14 degrees and a half below the freezing point, within doors. The tender evergreens were injured pretty much. It was very providential that the air was still and the ground well covered with snow, else vegetation in general must have suffered prodigiously. There is reason to believe that some days were more severe than any since the year 1739, 1740. I am, etc., etc.